Hey everyone, welcome to Beyond the Lane. My name is Mark and we have a signing for you today. It's gotten the official Fabrizio Romano. Here we go. Spurs were locked in talks with Xavi Simons and his entourage yesterday. Medical completed, deal signed until 2030 with an option of a +2 year on top of that. And we should just be waiting for the official note from Spurs to say that everything is done and dusted. What a phenomenal young player we are signing, 22 years of age. His statistics over the last couple of seasons have been brilliant. As I've said in previous videos, we are missing out on 60 goal contributions from last season, with Son having left and Kulu and Matters both being injured. And hopefully Xavi will be the one to help fill that gap. He's averaging around 20 goal involvements every season for the last 4. So that's the last 3 at RB Leipzig and PSV Eindhoven. Now, I know these leagues may not be much in comparison to the Premiership. However, he's also a Dutch international, so it's not as if he isn't used to playing against the big boys either. So if we have a look at that in terms of what we've been screaming out for Vans, we missed out on Morgan Gibbs-White. And if you look at all the information that came out after the rejection on that one and him signing the new deal, Spurs did try everything they could do to make that one happen. They went in, they bidded even more money over and above what that release clause was, and he went and signed a new contract. Certainly then again, when you're looking at the Eze deal, yes, we could have done it a lot sooner, which would have meant that we'd have seen him holding a Spurs shirt and signing for us. But we left it to the last minute trying to negotiate a better deal, which is common standard business practice for Daniel Levy, but it's something that a lot of clubs do. They wait for the release clause to go in the hope of negotiating a smaller one. If we had had that deal done on the Friday and just went in and offered them what they wanted, he'd be a Spurs player and not an Arsenal one. Arsenal circumstances changed. Havertz got injured and they went straight back in, knowing full well what Palace were looking for, and managed to get that one over the line. But finally, we've got one done. So we managed to beat Chelsea to this one, although by the sounds of it, Chelsea are in one of those financial situations where they really do need to sell to buy, and we're working on a number of deals in the background to get them. So whether or not Xavi was the one that they were looking for, there was talk about them looking at 2 other players in other leagues. So this one may not have gone to the wire, and certainly some of the information coming out last night was that Chelsea were not going to be stepping forward and trying to get that deal done. I think Xavi Simons was just fed up with waiting for Chelsea all summer, as that seemed to be the touted move for him, and instead he has chosen to come to Spurs and sign a relatively lengthy contract with us. So it goes to show the intention the player did want to come and play for us. So we've got an immensely talented young attacking player there. He can play centrally, he can play in the attacking midfield role, and if push comes to shove, he could also operate out on the wing as well. So we're getting a highly versatile player in terms of what we're getting for that. As I say, 22 years of age, Dutch international. So, you know, it's a player of proven caliber. He spent 3 years at RB Leipzig in the German league, and he has played exceptionally well there, and a season at PSV Eindhoven when he left PSG, again putting up some great stats. So if you want to have a look, let's dive into the numbers. So in his first season at PSV, and that was season 22-23, he played 48 games, 22 goals and 11 assists, which are pretty good breakout numbers for your very first big season. He had very small numbers at PSG, just kind of having been brought in and out of the team as and when needed, especially at quite a young age. Season 23-24, he makes the move to RB Leipzig. First season, 43 games, 10 goals, 13 assists. Then season 24-25, 33 games, 11 goals, 8 assists. So far in the Bundesliga, he's played 2 games, 1 goal, 1 assist. So we're looking at a player that seems to regularly hit that kind of 20 goal average. Obviously, PSG in the Dutch league is a slightly lesser league than the Premiership and the Bundesliga in Germany. But you can see that gradual progression of stepping up from the Dutch league into the German league. 2 seasons of very good stats, goals, goal assists, and he's already starting out pretty well at RB as well. They had given him permission to come over to London with the strictest deadline of you need to agree to something by close of play today, i.e. Friday. And if you do not, you're coming back in, you're in the match day squad for the game at the weekend. So it looks like it is deal done. So that is a fantastic move for us. £51 million, 60 million euros. So again, in terms of value for a player with such a high ceiling, it is an absolute bargain. We are looking quite, I would say, in terms of what we've got in terms of attacking depth, we're looking reasonably good. I think once Kulusevski and Madison come back as well, then our attacking midfield options are going to be absolutely insane, and people can actually probably start looking at us again as a genuine threat in attack. All we need to do now is if we can get a left winger in the door and a centre half. Speaking of centre halves, this video is all about Xavi Simons. However, we have news that Vuskovic has signed a season-long loan with Hamburg. Hamburg have been in contact with Spurs and had been linked to him for quite a while over this transfer window as a loan opportunity. So going out there to the Bundesliga is a fantastic loan option for the young player, and I am sure that he will be a phenomenal player for them over the course of the season, and we'll keep tabs on him throughout, and some of the other players that are way off out on loan as well, just to see how their progress and development is going. But a really good loan signing for him. But it then raises the question of what are we doing in terms of centre halves? Because if we look at our list of centre halves, start of the season we were sitting on 9. A good chunk of that have now went out on loan. We have Takai and Dragusin both injured. Although Takai is back in light training, but it's going to be a number of weeks before we even see him getting involved in the matchday squads. Dragusin, although is back and doing solitary training and some light stuff, he is still probably another month or so away before he will be looking at inclusion in any squad. So it then leaves us with 4 centre halves, essentially. We have the obvious pairing of Van de Ven and Christian Romero. We have Kevin Danzo as the backup option, or the third in a back 3 with Davies as the only sole backup option there. Gray can come in. Archie can play into that position. He can also play at right back too. However, I think it's a wee bit more pressure adding on to the young lad who's quite clearly wanted to try and make a defensive role his own, or at least start getting more game time there rather than playing across the back. But he's shown last season that he will play anywhere that he is needed to do so. I would like to see us bring in another centre half, even if it is only a loan deal till the end of the season. My top pick, as I have said over 2 or 3 videos now, is Nathan Ake at Manchester City. International, experienced player, winning mentality, having been at City for a good number of years now, and ticks all the boxes for me in terms of what you want as a centre half. And between him, Danzo, Van de Ven and Romero would give us really good, solid rotational options in that back 2 as part of a wider back 4 or back 5, depending on what formation we're looking to play against teams. It gives us really good solid options in terms of Europe as well in the Champions League. We'll get a wee video out at some point over either today or over the weekend, going through that live draw from yesterday, the teams we have got and what to expect from those teams when we go and play them. But again, this is great news for us in terms of Xavi getting over the line. Good long-term deal, means the player is serious about coming to Spurs. We need to get another 1, maybe 2 players in the door to give us what we need to be able to compete on all fronts. It is now starting to look a little bit like we will probably panic buy unless we pull something out of the bag like this one. But the options and the names that we have left on the list that we are being linked to across the board are not quite the players that we'd be looking at and going, hey, I want that guy. But we'll wait and see. Paqueta, I'd love to see him come to the club. He fits that kind of profile. Thomas Frank has said that he would like another number 10, 2 in total coming through the door. We've got one with Simons, but whether we can get another one through the door or not, I don't know. Paqueta ticks that box because he can play right across from left centre to right. So he gives you the option as being able to play as a backup number 10, but also can operate out onto the wing as well. There was a slight news story that broke the other day about Odegaard potentially going to Roma in a £25 million deal. that one just doesn't make sense to me. It's almost like trying to make a bit more money out of them, and trying to put a bit of a chunk out of that deficit in terms of what we've already spent this season. But he is a player that Thomas Frank really likes and wants to keep around and in the squad. So that player being sold doesn't make sense to me. He just needs time to be able to adjust to the team, the new formation setup, new manager, new coaching staff, and actually time to develop as a player to become what we actually need. I mean, Papa Matassar has been in and around Spurs for a number of years now, and he's kind of been in and out of the team up until last season, where we really needed to be playing him all of the time because of injuries. And look at what we've got out of him now. We need to give Tail and Odebear and Gray and others the time to develop at their own pace without throwing them in at the deep end, and expecting them to deliver what experienced players should be able to deliver. So hopefully we get another winger in the door, number 10, that can play across the full width. Then we'll have some really good options there. Really would like to see a centre half come in. Certainly left-sided would be better. But we definitely need that kind of backup option now to give us enough space and rotation and to allow for any injuries that might happen. I mean, if we look at Van de Ven and Romero, I think Van de Ven played 26 games last season and Romero played 22. When they played together, they do phenomenally well, but there's always that worry that the hamstring's going to go on Van de Ven, or Romero's going to get himself injured from a rash tackle, or he's going to get himself sent off. We need to have that really good option. And Danzo does seem to play very well with either of those players. But again, you want to provide competition, you want to have cover, and certainly you want to be able to rotate, especially when the expectation is that we will dominate and play across and expect to be competing heavily for all 4 trophies. So that is the video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully we'll see that official statement coming in from the club to say that he has officially signed, but Fabrizio Romano has given it the all here we go, as well as a number of other guys who are in the know, like David Ornstein, etc., also putting stuff out. So great signing for the club, but we need more. Anyway, again, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are on this signing. Who else are you wanting to see coming in on the window? Let's get the chat going. And we only have a few days of the window left. So all we can say is, come on, you Spurs.